I'm standing here with Tom Woods, famous author of Meltdown, right?
Yep.
That's what it's called?
Well, the author of Meltdown part is right, anyway, not the famous part.
Oh, you're somewhat famous. Well, you're famous inside the Liberty Movement.
Yeah, thanks.
But you have, of course, been an advocate of nullification, and you were telling me that you didn't think that much has changed, since the last time we talked, where you were talking about the idea that secession really could come onto the table once the bottom falls out, of the federal dollar. But you said not that much has changed. So I guess what is on your mind lately that wasn't on your mind when we talked about a year ago?
Well, I will say on the secession thing, it's so funny the way you get demonized if you talk about secession, when all you're basically saying is that there's no mandate from heaven that says the size of the country must be 309 million people. And so anybody who questions, oh my gosh, gee, you're outside the box if you talk about secession, oh gosh, off to the camps with you, you're outside, oh heaven forbid, what an offense I've committed. They're basically saying, nope, 309 million people is exactly the right God-given number, it can't be any less than that, and it's got to be this many square feet. This is just like idolatry. Like, what? Why is that just beyond question? However, it's okay, if Biafra wants to secede in Africa or others, that's all fine because those aren't divinely ordained. Look, the U.S. is not divinely ordained. It's a place. But anyway, that's a whole separate matter. What I've been doing now, you mentioned nullification. I had a book called Nullification that even though there's been a total blackout on it, it seems to be influencing state legislatures. I've been really pleased about that. Nullificationfreechapter.com. I couldn't help mentioning that. But the real thing I'm focused on these days is my book called Rollback. And that's basically just about saying, you're going to get a lot of books about, we got to cut the budget's too high. Yeah, look, any 10-year-old with an internet connection knows the budget is too high. Like, we all know that. The deficit is too large, and the debt is too, everybody knows that, and the entitlement programs can't be paid for. But what I'm going after is, it's not enough to cut the budget, as hard as that will be. What we have to do is cut the propaganda that yields us a budget like this. That, oh gosh, we'd be all these lost and pathetic souls if we didn't have Joe Biden watching over us, and if we didn't have this program or that program, we'd all be dying in the streets and all this stuff. If I were running a racket like this, that is exactly what I would want you suckers to think. That without me expropriating you and making your life miserable, your life would be miserable. So what I'm doing is going through point by point and showing not only would we not be miserable, we would be flourishing. And so I go through the financial crisis, the government's role in that, and the Federal Reserve, and the military-industrial complex, and all. But
you're also focused on action.
Right. But my point is that what I'm trying to talk about is not just what the Tea Party people are expecting. I want to blow their minds with things they've never heard, and particularly with the last chapter about what do we do. And there, again, it's not just, let's vote for Newt Gingrich and then we'll support the such and such act. You've got to be kidding. Someday somebody has to make a video saying, which of these Obama programs do you support? And then at the very end they say, oh, by the way, these aren't Obama programs. These are all Gingrich programs. He's got to be slammed in that way because he's trying to take advantage of people who don't know his actual record. But basically what I'm saying is, forget Washington, D.C. Let's focus on things we can try and do. Let's promote jury nullification, which is even more radical than state nullification. Let's talk about agorism. If you can withdraw from the system and survive, then let's do it. Let's starve it that way. Starve it of resources, deprive it of legitimacy. And the Free State Project, that's a very creative way. Try and concentrate in some place so that you can at least minimize one level of state predation on your lives. That's the way we need to be thinking. Can I mention rollbackbook.com?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll even sing a jingle for you if you want. Rollbackbook.com.
That's great. All right. That's all.
All right. Thanks so much, Tom.
My pleasure.